Welcome back to the Simplicity Diaries with me, Kim John Payne. This week I wanted to talk about how to help children who are having difficulty playing together, siblings of course, but also at school. One of the things that I found most helpful over the years with difficulties in play is to apply a sort of a principle that we all understand. This is very natural and organic to us all in terms of our understanding of play, is to actually dial back the play stages. Now, what I mean by this, let me just give a brief overview, is pretty much most of us either know intuitively or we've looked at this and we understand it consciously, is that children go through all these play stages as they grow up. They first of all they have the first little play stage is connected play, where it's this little piggy went to market. It's all the little touching connected. I connect with my mummy, my daddy, my guardian. I connect through touch. It's that kind of I connect with the world, the twinkle twinkle little fingers and so on. So there's that very, very early stage. And then as a child grows up a little more, they start playing in a solitary way. They'll play with their car or a dolly or a little object, or they'll explore a stone and a flower, something in the natural world. And it's solitary play, but it's also exploratory. It's not just solitary. They're exploring something deeply, if indeed they're given time in this fast-paced modern life, just to sit. And it doesn't look like play, but it really is. And then as that play stage gets a little more advanced in its solitary play, it moves into, now they're really playing. They're creating something, they're doing something, and it's more obviously, it moves from exploratory to solitary play, alone play, quite happy to play alone. And then the next stage, there's all these little sub-stages as well, but for the the context of today, I just want to cover these ones. Then there's parallel play. And parallel play is when, we've seen it all, haven't we? We've all seen it, where they'll come alongside each other and one child's playing with a truck and pushing it backwards and forwards, zooming it backwards and forwards, and another little child will come and zoom their truck backwards and forwards. They're not exactly playing together, but they're playing proximal to each other. And so there's this proximal play or parallel play. Proximal play is a little bit different to parallel, because the proximal play now is this little bit of a next step where a child will be playing with shoe boxes and building things in one part of the room, a sibling or a child at school, and then you'll see another child look over and start being inspired by that and doing their own box play. And this is more proximal play now. They're not exactly playing together. They might start, trading tools or a little bit, or get interested. One little boy, girl, child will get up and go look at the other, and then they'll go back to theirs. So it's proximal, and they're being inspired and influenced by each other, but they're not actually playing together. Not like visually, not obviously. Okay. So it moves from that parallel to proximal. And then the next stage that I wanted to mention, there are other stages, by the way, but I'm talking about a context of how to help kids who are not playing well. So I'm trimming this down a little bit. The next stage in play comes when kids then start interacting and they start exchanging. And now there's a kind of there's a play which is more a dynamic play, where they're actually playing together, and you see it. They're engaging together. They're exchanging implements, precious things. They're exchanging materials, and they're playing together, and they're creating the same thing together. And then the next stage is sometimes called scripting play, and scripting play, and sometimes also there's an aspect of this which is called sociodramatic. Sociodramatic is the kind of play that is, well, classically dress-ups, where kids play out archetypal roles. And one will be the fire guy, and one will be the police, one will be the cop, one will be... And they'll start actually getting into these archetypal roles. A lot of that is they're playing out the world around them. So they're now, can you see they're becoming more and more aware of the world around them, and they're playing that out. Then it moves into this second stage of social dramatic play, which is scripting. And I just love this scripting play, you know, where children say, well, you be like the cop, and you can be the doggy. And then the child says, no, I don't want to be the doggy. Well, no, you be the puppy then. All right, I'll be the puppy, but I'm a puppy that bites. No biting. And then I'll do this, and then when I come in, you can. And it's so beautiful, isn't it? And they spend such a long time scripting. Do you see? They're scripting it all. They're scripting it all out. And then they move, and then they play. And it's still social dramatic, and it's still dress-ups quite often, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be this kind of scripting. And they're creating these scenes. Okay, then a stage comes when it's more, it's getting into the realm of free play, but they enter into it, and you can see they enter into it through rule play. Now the scripting moves into rules. Like, now we're going to play this game, and I'm a little bit older now because all this is getting older and now, you know, we're sort of 6-7 years old, and now we're going to play a game, and it's a game, and it has rules. It's tag, and when you're on base and when you're off base, and how you can run, and how many people can be on that base. And there's now, and the children move from scripting, which is form, creating form, and even more form now into rule-based play. And there'll be a big dispute, and that might be, you know, a big argument, and then, you know, hopefully they'll huddle together, and then, well, what are we going to know? And then there'll be a big shout. I remember children often would shout when I was in the school counselor, listening to them in the playground, helping them. New rule, and they would have a new rule, and I'd smile and think, well done them. They've just made a new rule. It can be quite bizarre, but it's a new rule, and that's rule playing. Okay, now, and there's many other stages that come. There's sports play, where kids are they're not doing sports, but they're playing at being at sports and sports people and so on. All right, now, that's the context. See these stages? Now, let's say there's a 7 or 8-year-old group of kids in the neighborhood, or an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old siblings playing together. And it's scripted play and maybe even rule-based play, because you've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it's slightly different stages, but they're in the same ballpark, right? It's kind of close. So there's scripting, they're role-playing, and something really goes wrong and a big fight breaks out. Big argument. Well, what to do? What to do? One of the most elegant things to do is to be able to draw in close, like moor our metaphoric canoe right alongside, and just ask them what's up. Just be a presence. What's up? Something's going wrong, isn't it? And just empathize. Oh, it's not going well. My goodness. And they'll say, no, because he won't be the bitey dog is too bitey, and you know, and just, oh gosh. And not coming in heavy-handed, you know, what are you doing? Come on now, let's get this worked out. It's just approach it with an, oh dear. I just love this oh dear attitude. Oh gosh. And just, now, do you need my help to work this out, or can you work it out yourselves? Because we need to work this out, don't we? That's another thing. Do you need my help, or can you do it yourselves? Now, very often when there's a big argument about this, they do need some help. All right, now let's go walk down that road a little bit. Because even if they say they can do it by themselves, you'll notice something very organic happens. They will dial it back. Now, what I mean by this is exactly what we can do is not keep them in rule play, but dial them back into scripted play. But if scripted play isn't going well, take them back into proximal play, where they can play now, and they can still play with their play balls, they can still play with their forts, but now they might work on different, like you make maybe the window in the fort, and that's right, you lay out what's inside, the beds and all the sleeping area. So now insert yourself, because often we're wondering, should we insert ourselves? I think it's perfectly acceptable to insert ourselves, but within the flow of their imagery around play, but take them back one stage. Take them back. Now, you might even take them back, not even into proximal play, but parallel play. So they actually, let's say it's fort building or, some kind of game. Now they'll create their own stuff, but they'll do it separately. On a rainy day, you might give them their own materials, two different tables that you set them up on, one on the counter, one on the coffee table, and you just say, I think we can make it better just by playing in our own little space for a little while, and then we might be ready to come back together again. Kids get really used to this, and if you do it enough, they start doing it themselves, and it's delightful when you start seeing them do it themselves, right? If they can't manage even proximal or parallel play, you can take them right back into solitary, and if they're not happy with that, right the way back into Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars, but that's you would sit with a child and just read a story. That's connection, right? But in a big grown-up 6 or 8 year old way, or a 5-year-old or whatever. But you take them back, and now their connection is with you and not with each other. So they were having trouble with each other, so you make that simpler. They were having trouble still with each other, so you make that simpler by connecting them to the play materials. Having trouble with that, connect them to you. And what you're doing is a really basic learning principle. Teachers do this all the time when they're introducing number work and math. If a child doesn't get division, then they might go back to multiplication. Don't get multiplication? Okay, let's go back to subtraction. Don't get subtraction? All right, let's just go back to addition. Let's go back just to plus, just to adding up. We know this. It's a very intuitive thing that we do with learning, and this is applying it to the play stages. Now, I know that's a lot of play stages, but it's basically, I hope I've laid this out clearly enough for you next time when the children are having trouble playing with each other, rather than getting bothered by it. It's so helpful to have a framework inwardly for ourselves at what we can do to basically recalibrate. You're recalibrating, and you know what? Just as a last point, you're actually asking less of their nervous system. It's asking quite a lot of a child's nervous system to be able to interact in this way and get into the flow of that. And if their nervous system, they're just way too jangled, they're just too much is going on, they're overwhelmed, you're just pulling it back. And did you notice each stage you pull back, you're moving into a calmer and calmer activity? Doesn't always have to be like that, but often it's intuitively we do that. A child resets, so to speak, and then you can move them back out into the more sort of demanding socially and sensorially. You're moving them back into more complicated play. All right, that's a gem, by the way. To understand this movement back through the play stages. Gosh, once you get this down, a whole bunch changes in the way we help kids play, and it doesn't have to become so charged. Okay, hope that helps. Bye bye for now.